que tem. Eu acho que tem, hein? Vamos ligar de novo. Ah, velho. Já deu já. Vai errar. É, vai ter que descer mesmo. Mas será isso, descida? Aqui. Ô, mas caralho. Meu Deus. Onde eu vou? O quê? Não, tá feio o negócio aqui. Nossa, eu não lembro dessa fase, velho. Tem nada aqui? Não. Ué? Indiana Jones agora, caralho? Vem buscar aqui, vem. Vem buscar. Vem. Vem buscar. Vem, bolinha. Tem goleiro. Eita. Eita. Tem goleiro. Fudeu. Ah, entendi. Nossa senhora, não deu tempo. Caralho, que rápido. Tô indo aí, fera. Olha que tem uma luz aqui, cara. Ah, ele. Pera aí, fera. O que é isso aqui? Quero. Eu nem tenho lanterna. Gosto.
I found the car, but the gate's locked. You're gonna have to go through the hedge maze over there.
Ah, que beleza, hein?
Barry, I don't have a light.
Dá a lanterna aí.
Take this, Al. Oh God!
E a lanterna
Look at
aqui,
the
ó.
house, Al.
Nossa, que bordado. Tá bom. Isso, tentei esconder atrás do poste, mas não deu não. Que gostoso que vai ser isso aqui. Tá, vamos. Eita, mais essa pra ajudar. Sai em cima, velho. Oi. Do not trust? Emil? Quem é Emil? Emílio? Cadê? Esse barulhinho de vagabundo. De vagabundo e viciado. Cadê o vagabundo e viciado? Tô sabendo. Quando eu chego perto pra tirar é um só. Deixa eu vir aqui, hein? Um labirinto, filha da puta. Caralho. Eita porra. Será que dá pra confiar naquilo ali? Não. Eu sei que eu tenho que ir pra lá, mas não dá pra ir. Voltei onde eu tava. E beleza. Vamos de novo. Tá, vamos pra esquerda. Esquerda de novo. Tem um bagulho aqui. Dá pra ir por aqui. Dá pra... E aqui? Aê, filha da puta. Quem tá falando isso? Tem que entrar de novo nesse labirinto. Beleza, hein? Eita. Incorporou o capeta. Nossa, o passarinho entra aqui dentro. Cagada. Não, aqui tá pior. Nossa, gastei tudo, velho. vou inserir, foda-se. Que demora. Já era? Os vagabundos ali voando. Esses mequetrefe aí. Boa. O que tem de bom pra mim aí? Gostei, viu? Gostei bem. Não, por enquanto eu vou por aqui. Eita. Nossa. Não tem nada de luz foda. Vagabundo. Carrega a pilha aí. Que acho que vai vir mais. Já quebra um lugar. Mano, eu não lembro de existir essa fase. Não lembro de existir essa fase. Essa fase parece que é novidade pra mim. Ah não, não vou gastar não. Enchei lanternas. Isso. Opa, luzinha, caixinha vermelha. Curto. Tem nada no banquete? Não. Nossa, como que essa fase sumiu da minha memória, velho? Todas as outras eu lembro alguma coisinha. Essa daqui sumiu. Hã? Emil made don't do it. Ih, Emil é hard one, né? É o médico. Acho que é. Tinha alguma fase extra, velho. Que não saiu pro Xbox. Um vagabundo. Deixa eu ver se tem alguma coisa aqui. Não, acho que o caminho é por aqui. Ah, mas então eu vou mexer pra lá. Como é que eu vi esse negócio aqui? Achei. Boa, campeão. Ah, como eu adoro essa pistola sinalizador. Bom, tô sem lente flare. Tô com a pistola sinalizador. Que dá regaço. Tem uma caixinha vermelha, deixa eu ver, tem coisa boa. Espero. Olha os bichão lá em cima. Aê. Gostei. Gostei bem. Senão aqui vai dar merda agressiva. Tá salvo. Manuscrito. Alguma coisa brilhando. Manuscript. Ah, é o Barry ali? Acho que é. Pode ser que dê merda agora, hein? Esse barulho aí.
Let's get out of here. Can you open this gate?
Maybe.
Barry.
Well, I slammed it shut when the nasty showed up, and the key fits kind of loose.
Ai, caralho.
I'll find it. Don't worry about it.
Hurry up, Barry.
I'm on it.
Tem um cara aqui, velho.
Gotta be here. Just hang on.
Nossa, o caralho, o cara não atirou, velho. Perdi ideia e veio o bagulho. Tem que derrubar aquele vagabundo grandão primeiro.
Hurry up, Barry.
I'm on it. It's gotta be here. Just hang on.
Atira, velho! Atira, filha da puta! Puta, agora tu resolveu atirar?
Oh, hey, found a corner.
Que bom pra você, Barry.
I found it. I found it. Here it is. Al, I found the key.
Velho, a arma, velho. A arma, velho. Ah, deu tempo. Ui, mas que caralho, velho. Tô achando pra recarregar uma moleza.
Al, please tell me we're headed for the nearest. You're now leaving Bright Falls. Come back soon sign.
We're going to the Anderson farm.
I knew you were gonna say something like that. You know what? You owe me big time for this. When this is through, if we make it, I don't care what anybody says, I'm done with darkness. You're gonna buy me a tanning bed as a gift, and I'm gonna live in it.
Nossa. A clínica. Nossa, mano, que bosta pra tirar e recarregar com essa merda com os caras em cima.
I'm crazy, but that's fine, Barry.
Oh, you got that right, Al. You're barking mad. You are by far the
But
craziest.
maybe that's inevitable when you deal with crazy stuff like this. It helps. This is happening, Barry. Alice, they never had Alice. She's trapped in the darkness at the bottom of the lake, but she's not dead.
Al, how can you know that?
I know, Barry. I can...
Al,
No, listen. I can bring her back. I can find her. There's something special about this place. The lake, it does something to the works of art created here. It makes them come true. But there's a catch. The dark presence, whatever that thing is, twists it to its own ends. That's why all of this is happening. It's using my manuscript to take over everything.
Al, I believe you.
It happened to Thomas Zane before it happened to the Andersons.
I believe you. Crazy or not, you're not delusional. Weird shit's going down. That's a fact. I'm on board, man. I'm with you.
The Andersons knew about it, but they were too far gone to tell me with all the drugs they were on. But they wrote it down. There's a message somewhere at their farm, Barry. You just need to find it. Look out!
E ele pôs a arma no painel pra quê? Só pra vir ficar sem arma. Ai, fiada da puta. Vai ficar no bolso, caralho. Nossa, tô lá embaixo.
I had lost my gun in the crash.
Sabia.
Barry was nowhere to be seen.
Não temos nada, né? Não. Oh, fiada da puta. Bom, deixa eu parar e deixa eu ler os manuscritos, velho. Que tá acumulando aqui. Aí. Vamos lá.
Departure by Alan Wake.
Como que faz pra continuar?
Zane could feel the poems, taking form, shaping things.
Peraí. Os escritos.
Zane could feel the poems, taking form, shaping things. As he experimented, he imagined he could almost feel the power surging through the keys of the typewriter. It exhilarated him. But there was fear, too. If not for his young assistant Emil, he would have given it up. But Emil convinced him otherwise. He, too, had a way with words.
Vai pra próximo. Tem que ir a caralho.
Zane could feel the poems, taking form. Hartman kept talking, giving Barry the grand tour, clearly proud of the place. He went on and on about his hunting trophies, and Barry was impressed. But he was here on business. He raised his voice, cut through the monologue. Hey, Hartman, where's Al? Hartman stopped in mid-sentence. Hartman followed the fall.
No. No, episódio 1, velho.
Departure by Alan Wake.
Isso.
The man turned to face me. His face was covered in shadows. It was hard to make him out in the darkness of the forest that surrounded us. But the axe he lifted was plain to see. It glistened with the blood of his victim. The Taken stood before me. It was impossible to focus on it, as if it stood in a blind spot caused by a brain tumor and eye disease. It was bleeding shadows like ink underwater, like a cloud of blood from a shark bite. I was terrified. I squeezed the flashlight like my life depended on it, willing it to stop coming any closer. Suddenly something gave. I heard them before I saw them, swooping down from the sky and screeching as they came. I spun around just as the cloud was upon me. For an instant, I stared into 100 dead eyes, black pearls glittering in the darkness. At first, I kept finding the pages as if by accident. The book I couldn't remember was either a terrible and true prophecy or an act of creation that had rewritten the world. I began to hunt the pages. I stepped into the gas station's garage. It was dark and quiet. The place was a mess. It looked like someone trashed the place or that there'd been some kind of fight. Light spilled into the room through an open door at the back, and I made my way toward it. Without any warning, I was blinded by a bright light. The cabin on Cauldron Lake? She asked. The sheriff looked at me suspiciously. The early morning light flooded through the office windows. I would probably never have gotten out of the woods alive without her help, but I couldn't tell her the truth of what I'd faced the previous night. Stucky spat on the garage floor and tried to shake the cobwebs from his head. Ever since the couple never showed to pick up the keys, things had been fuzzy. Something, a feeling caught his attention. Stucky looked up and stared as his brain tried in vain to process the horror before him. He stumbled back. Rose knew she had been gushing, but right now she didn't care. As far as she was concerned, her brief meeting with Alan Wake was literally the high point of her life. She watched as he got in the car with his wife. She was pretty, confident.
Que dó. Por que essas páginas têm coisinha? Encontrei essa página, mano. Essa come bronha. Essa daqui eu tenho que jogar outro jogo. Entendi.
It's true what they say about the fall and the sudden stop at the end. I'd lain here in the snow while the lurid chain of scenes that had led me here kept playing in my head. A rerun of my own private snuff movie. A memory of my corpse. Alone. This was a late goodbye. 13 years after I'd gotten my revenge, it had finally caught up with me. It had been a long time to bear the pain. My blood painted the snow red, a gruesome slushy.
Alice looked through the viewfinder, lining up the shot. Cauldron Lake was breathtaking. Something caught her eye. A figure standing in the shadows behind the cabin, like a thin woman in a black dress. Barry had never gotten along with Alice, but he knew Alan loved her with an almost frightening intensity. And now something had happened to Alice. And here was Al armed with a gun and saying things people got put in padded cells for. It was as if his friend had experienced a massive... The air in the visitor center was heavy with an awful smell, as if some rotten drowned thing had crawled up from its grave. Rusty kept coughing blood. My eyes were drawn to the twisted shape of his broken leg. The attack had been vicious. Max whined in his cage. The visitor center was sturdy, but the impact turned the front of the building into splinters. Rusty was thrown across the lobby like a rag doll and hit the far wall hard. It didn't hurt until he tried to move and saw his leg bend the wrong way. Felt the broken ribs stabbing him on the inside. At the last instant, I changed direction and threw myself down. The axe splintered the trunk of a tree. I stumbled into the pool of bright light. My lungs burned. I was too exhausted to move. I tensed as I went. In that last instant of consciousness, Rusty thought about Rose. He was older than she was. Rose was barely out of her teens, but she made him feel young and forget what a train wreck his long-dead marriage had been. I turned the corner, afraid of what the flashlight's beam might reveal. Suddenly, a roughly painted symbol of a torch glowed in the light. Behind it, hidden by a rock, sat a battered metal trunk. It was here for a reason, packed with supplies, batteries, flares. Agent Nightingale didn't want to be in Bright Falls. These little communities revolted him, and he didn't like the trees or the coffee. He now knew that impossible horrors lurked behind the storefronts and smiles. He desperately wanted to turn the car around and just drive until he passed out or ran out of road. On more than one occasion, Alice had tried to explain to me how it felt to be afraid of the dark. To her, darkness wasn't simply the absence of light, but something more tangible than that. It was something you could touch and feel. Worse than that, it was something with a mind of its own, something malicious and malign. For her, things changed when they were wrapped.
Eita, peraí. Deixa eu fazer um pouquinho mais. Não. Nossa, tem monte, cara.
The night had been one desperate situation after another. I was exhausted, and my body felt as though it had been chewed up and spat out. The flashlight was heavy in my hand, and each pull of the trigger sent a painful shock up my... When Barry saw the darkness attack the visitor center, it made him a believer. The men Al said he'd shot, they hadn't been just locals on crank. Somehow the world had changed, like the channel had been switched without warning. You think you're watching a sitcom, and you're really watching a horror show. The FBI agent's command froze me in place. I considered surrender. It was all falling apart anyway. I could give in, let someone else deal with it, but it felt all wrong. Call it instinct, his posture. Rose knew that Rusty was in love with her, and she liked him too. She liked him a lot. He taught her to dance, and life had certainly taught her the value of a man who was gentle. He treated her well, made her smile, made her feel good. But Rusty wasn't the prince of her dreams, and that... Nobody in Bright Falls seemed to know where Al was, but Rose, the waitress at the diner, had seen him. From what Barry could tell, Al pretty much fell off the face of the earth when he left the diner. Rose was just the kind of fan that Al hated, but she really tried to help. She was smart too, knew a lot about what was going on in the town, knew a lot about Al, even... The logging site was a mess. The modular office had been pushed off the cliff. Deputy Thornton climbed up from the wreckage excited, breathing hard from the exertion. Nobody there. It's weird. Don't you think that's weird? Shadows stirred and the wind picked up as I ran through the forest. I felt the dark presence turning its gaze toward me. Then the moonlight was blotted out by dark shadows that raced violently across the ground, moving too swiftly to be natural. Darkness gathered. Mr. Randolph liked Rose. That little smile she had. How she was still sweet when life had tried so hard to make her bitter. It wasn't any of his business what she did in her trailer. But those strangers, the writer and his smart-ass sidekick, looked like trouble. And they'd been in there for hours, way past her normal bedtime. He reached for the phone and called the sheriff's station. For decades, the darkness that wore Barbara Jagger's skin slept fitfully in the dark place that was its home and prison. It was hungry and in pain. It dreamed of its nights of glory when the poet's writing had called it from the depths and given it a brief, terrible taste of power and freedom. The rock stars had stirred it from the deep sleep the poet had sunk it back to in the end. When it sensed the writer on the ferry, it opened its eyes. Nightingale stared through the broken studio window into the dark woods. He turned around, started to walk out, but Maine grabbed his arm. "Young man, you almost shot me. You don't shoot off rounds at people." Sarah trusted her gut, and her gut said Agent Nightingale was an asshole. He felt wrong, and it wasn't just the smell of stale booze. It was in the way he flashed his badge, pulled rank, the look in his eyes when he wanted answers. Where was Alan Wake? What was this about an accident? Where was his wife? And most importantly, why did she let Wake go? The pipe wrenched itself loose from the bridge's steel framework. Wrapped in darkness, it floated in midair, twitching. For a moment, I didn't understand what I was looking at. The heavy object lurched at me with impossible force. I slammed the door shut right in his smug face. He pleaded for me to open the door. True to form, the asshole actually thought I would obey. I had no sympathy left, no guilt either, not for... I slammed the door shut right in his smug face. He pleaded for me to open the door. True to form, the asshole actually thought I would obey. I had no sympathy left, no guilt either, not for him. I took a moment to savor this. The darkness surged towards me, sucking everything loose from the ground into its depths, tugging at my clothes. I saw the flare the kidnapper had dropped and threw myself towards it just as I felt my feet leave the ground. The darkness embraced me with the force of a tornado. Somehow I managed to light the flare. I slammed the door shut right in his smug face. Touched by the dark presence, Rose was lost in a dreamland where everything was drawn in black and gray crayons. The old lady had promised her that all her wishes would come true. She would be Alan Wake's muse. She was smiling so. The bulldozer's engine roared to life. Mud and rocks flew as it fought for traction. It crashed through the concrete wall and landed heavily in the yard. If it were an animal, it would have shaken its head after the impact, fixed its eyes on me, and charged. Of course, it had no head, nor eyes. With Nightingale gone and the night wind blowing in through the broken studio window, Maine stared at Sarah. The sheriff looked away. Maine's voice shook with barely controlled anger. "That boy's doing more drinking than thinking. I hope you know what you're doing, Sarah. He's got a sickness in his eyes. You take..." When Thomas Zane fell for Barbara Jagger, it happened fast. She was young, vibrant and beautiful, full of life. He had never been a very happy man, and without any seeming effort, she had changed all that. Zane felt good for the first time in his life. Everything she did was another piece of a jigsaw puzzle he hadn't even known he'd been missing. And best of all, she made the words flow, strong. Some of the Taken retained echoes of their former selves, but these were just the nerve twitches of a dead thing. Nothing remained but a shell covered and filled with darkness. In most cases, these puppets were enough for the purposes of the dark presence. But for anything more elaborate, as with the writer, It was different. It needed his mind. And so rather than taking him over completely, it merely touched him. I stared through the bars of the jail cell. Barry stood behind me, swaying on his feet, looking as ill as I felt. Agent Nightingale stood on the other side of the bars with Sheriff Breaker. Nightingale had a stack of manuscript pages in his hand. He seemed unhinged as he gloated. "Well, I've got you now, Raymond Chandler. It's all here. All the evidence, including conspiracy to murder a federal agent." Things were never as simple in real life as in fiction. I had lost count of the times I had wished there'd be a clear reason for my writer's block. Something to fight, something to lash out on. There wasn't. I was filled with doubt. I was nothing like the hero in my books. Alex Casey had gone through his life with single-minded determination. Never... Even behind the closed doors and curtains of his grimy room at the Majestic, the local motel, Nightingale could feel the locals' eyes on him. The unrelenting pressure of their judgment. He forced it out of his mind. For all he knew, they could all be under Wake's spell already. You do what you have to do to get the job done. Maud had checked all of Stucky's rental cabins. There had been no sign of the Wakes. It was dark when he'd found their car parked at the end of the road by Cauldron Lake. It made no sense. They must have taken a wrong turn, but there was no sign of them, and the car had been there for hours already. Frustrated, I tried to hold on to Alice, but her form melted away. I was losing control. Dr. Hartman stood in her place. I wanted to hit him, but my arms were jelly. He smiled. It was a reassuring smile, and I hated him for it. "I had to give you a sedative. Don't fight it. You went through another rough..." The hunters were big, thick-set men, confident and at home in the woods. They were feeling good, running on beer, ghost stories, and camaraderie late into the night. It did them no good, as they were taken by the dark presence. Lightning flashed behind the windows of Cauldron Lake Lodge. Tor Anderson laughed and held the steel hammer above his head. Nurse Sinclair was trying to calm him down without success. Tor grinned madly and shouted, "My hammer's up. Here's a friendly poke from Molnir, wench." He brought the hammer down with all his might on Sinclair's head. "We're on a comeback tour, baby."
Beleza. Quando acabar cada episódio, eu volto a ler os livros aqui, gatinha. Vamos que vamos. Fudido e mal pago. Sem nada.
Barry! Barry!
Barry Smith.
Oh, man, you're
Barry.
okay! Jeez, it's good to hear your voice! I was trying to get out of the car, but the ground gave way. Man, what a drop! Don't worry, your cutout is fine.
Forget that! Are you okay?
I hit some bushes, didn't get a scratch. There's no way you can climb down, though. It's like a sheer wall. Al, there's something moving down here!
Eita porra.
Barry, it's a taken! Use a flare, Barry!
Cadê o Barry?
Yeah!
Barry, are you alright?
Oh, I'm good, Al! I'm great! Guess you never messed with anyone from New York City before, huh?
Eita porra.
You're gonna have to find your way around to the farm, Al! I'll be waiting!
Barry, just
Caralho,
wait
outra
for me,
coisa que eu não
okay?
lembro dessa fazenda.
Al! I'm not staying here! It's suicide! I'm going to the farm! I'm gonna go ahead and secure the area. You can catch up. Don't worry about it. I'm on the case.
Now he's Rambo. This would turn into a disaster if I didn't catch up with Barry.
Nossa, não deu nada, velho. Deu um puto na lanterna. Puta merda. Sai daí. Sai daí. Nossa senhora. Ao contrário. Pô, tudo isso por cara manuscrito, cara. Achei que era uma lanterna. Porra. Fodeu. Ai, ai, ai. Deixa eu acertar aqui. Não, acho que é pra ir pra... Tô sem lanterna, caralho. Não posso fazer nada. Ah, mais manuscrito? Eita. Ai, caralho. Nossa, eu não tenho lembrança nenhuma dessa fase, velho. Ah, eu vou aqui em cima. Ah, é café, velho. Café é uma bosta. Olha, os bagulho torando na pancada e os caras me dando café. Vai, sobe logo. Isso. Deixa eu quieto. O pau torando e eu só tenho café. Que ótimo. Nossa. Nossa. Passei. Ou não. Essa pouquinho.
Shadows crawled over the gate. I needed a light to destroy them to get through.
Legal. E pra acender? Ah, aqui, ó. Só seguir os fios, ó. Porra, não
I
tem
hope there'd still
nada.
be a working generator somewhere around here to power up the old lights by the gate.
Boa. Pô, mas tá massa a fase sem a luz também, viu? Dá mais desespero, pô. Só se aparecer nego aí é foda.
I could sense the movement in the woods ahead. Facing the enemy without a weapon was dangerous, but I had no choice.
E a lanterna é bicheira ainda. Esse jogo tá me fodendo, velho. Não tá nem dando pilha. Valeu. Tá merda. ser foda isso aqui, velho. Não vai dar tempo não, hein? Não deu. Ai, caralho. Não vai dar não, filho. Cadê o vagabundo? Ficou pra trás. Ah, não, tá aqui. Nossa senhora, engordado. Vaza, filho. Puta que pariu, velho. É tiro que eu disse. Não quero ficar sem arma nem luz, não.
A car was driving away from the farm, headed in the same general direction as I was. For all I knew, it was Barry, caught in the consequences of leaping before looking.
Nossa, tô longe ainda, hein? Caralho. Que isso? Ah, aí sim. Nossa, os caras vão sair da pilha, velho. Não vai me dar arma. Esses vagabundos. Fodeu. É, fodeu. Que isso?
The car was heading for the cabin up ahead. It wasn't far. If it was Barry, I would see the damage soon.
É, o chalé não tá tão longe. Opa. Cara, eu jurei ter visto esse bagulho amarelo. Espera encher a lanterna. Não dá pra usar não. Eita, passou um cara ali. Que isso? Eita. What the fuck?
I'm trying to deliver each page to the right time and place. I'm trying to show you how the story goes.
Valeu,
I had
fera.
seen glimpses of the light before. I had seen it in my dream. It was a strange spaceman or a diver in a bulky suit. He was the one who'd been placing the pages on my path.
O que é? Tomazinho. Tomazinho. Isso aqui é armadilha. Achei que era um monte de página. Nossa senhora, tem um monte. A iluminação desse jogo é muito boa, velho.
Someone had left a gun behind. Now I had a fighting chance of reaching the farm.
É. Então tá, né? Eita lindeza do pai. Pai tá on agora, carai. Vem em mim, seus fela. Deixa eu ver se tem alguma coisa aqui, velho. Vai ter uma caixa ali, velho. Eita, vou tentar ir ali. Ih, esse bulico aí. Nossa, era uma cadeira, velho. Cacete. Armadilha. Garrafa de café que até agora não sei pra que serve. Eu vou pegando. Café de... Ai, que burro! Ficou olhando no buraco. Tocar esse café aí, viu? Tá voando, fi? Café de graça a gente não nega. O que é isso aqui? É página ou é armadilha? Página. Pronto. Vamos pro pega. Armadilha. Armadilha. Armadilha, armadilha. Ai, ai, ai. Que beleza, hein? Eita. Vambora daqui, vai, vai. Não tá fácil não, velho. Olha lá. Ah, velho, puta que pariu. Nossa, por pouco. Vem, seus vagabundos. Nossa, na maia. Gente, aí, lanterninha. Cheguei.
I could see the car, but there was no sight of the driver.
Bem da hora o chalezinho desse cara. Oh, bro.
Hello? Anybody here? Barry!
No! Danny, you're not!
Que isso, velho?
What are you?
Ah, deixa ele que se mate.
Don't! I'm sorry!
Eu preciso fazer loot. E eu sei que lute.
The front door was locked.
Preciso de loot e vocês que lute. Nossa. Aconteceu aí,
I know
fera?
you. You were in jail the other day.
I went to the farm again for the moonshine, you know? It makes you see. They're not gonna miss it. They're in the loony bin. But my buddy, Danny, I lost him. Something's gone wrong with him. It's not him. Like a real bad follow-up to a real good movie. The best friends.
Não fui eu que escrevi, não.
Guy this crap anyway?
Faleceu.
I've run through every possible course in my head. If I continue like the Dark Presence wants me to, the story I'm writing won't save Alice. It's a horror story, and it's going to kill her, and me, and everybody in this town. No one will survive. Darkness will consume everything. This is what it's wanted all along. It will be free, unstoppable. It used Alice to get to me, dangled her in front of me to keep me going. It was never going to release her. I'm going to change this. I'll escape. I've written myself into the story. I'm now the protagonist. This feels like a terrible risk, but it's the only way to save Alice. I'll be bound by the events of the story just as much as anyone else who's been moving into it. The story must stay true for this to work. There have to be victims along the way, near escapes, cliffhangers. In a horror story, it can't be certain that the hero will succeed or even survive. He almost has to die. I'll write my own escape into the story next. I need help. Zane's going to be the one who'll help me. I'll make it happen.
Não tem mais o que investigar aqui. Eita porra.
Let me guess. Danny, huh? The farm was still a good distance away. I'd need a car to get there fast.
Vai ser alguma coisa que antes. Tem nada. Só mato. Fossa. Tem alguma coisa da fossa? Sonhaca.
If Barry wasn't up here, he was probably in trouble down at the farm. For a moment, I felt bad for doubting him. After all, I'd made it this far myself. But Barry was Barry.
O que eu vi brilhando? Ah, café, velho. Merda. Sei que é perigoso, mas tem que enxertar, velho. Tô precisando das coisas. Opa, achei coisa aqui. Ótimo. Opa! Que beleza! Porra, é isso mesmo que eu queria. Lá em cima tem alguma coisa. Tá, abriu. Nossa, velho, vamos ficar aqui e esperar amanhecer e ir embora. Nossa, eu vou subir na outra casa e se eu não morro lá, velho. Deve ter coisa lá também. Depois eu vou na fazenda. Ué, não tem uma casa aqui? Só tem um palão, caralho. Ah, ali, ó. Nossa, tudo igualzinho esses mirantes aí. Mas já vi que tem coisa lá dentro. Já gostei. Ué? Que burro. Zero pra mim. Seguro para trocar. Quanto que eu tenho? 6. 5. O que eu tenho aqui é o quê? Opa, aí sim. Aí valeu.
Well, as I'm sure everyone's noticed, that storm we all felt coming is finally here. The boys at the Weather Service reckon it'll last until morning at the very least. Pertaining to that, let me read that missing persons alert again. The Sheriff's Department's still looking for a Caucasian woman, 30 years old, slim and blonde with blue eyes. She may be lost in the woods, and it's possible she's been injured in a car accident. If you see her, please make sure you get her indoors and call the sheriff. It's bad weather to be caught out in, so if you see someone in the area who maybe looks a little confused, give them a hand, all right? This is Pat Maine on KBF FM, hoping you're all safe and warm tonight.
Todo mundo menos eu. Ô meu amor, deita aqui no colo do pai, deita. Isso. Eita caralho. Toma. Pronto. Tem trabalho com vocês não. Eita. Nossa, caiu o bagulho em cima de mim, velho. Peraí, tem vagabundo aqui? Tem. Toma. Cadê o resto? Vai? Cadê o resto? Nelly, cadê o resto? Os caras não são brabos? Vem pra cima. Não fiz merda. Não sei por onde que eu entro. Será que por essa pedra aqui? Não. Onde que nós entra, hein? Tem que ir a pé mesmo. Tratorzão. R$1 milhão esse trator pra cima. Eita. Enche aí, lanterninha. Pronto, tá bom. Ué? Ah, por ali mesmo. Eu já não tava aí? Ah, não. Do outro lado. Tem como entrar no moinho. Sempre bom acertar. Não dá. Chuta aí. Moleza. Uma espingarda, rapaz. Arrebenta essa porta aí. Toma lá, Don Quixote. Toma. Não é nessa, então vamos acertar nessa. Isso. Isso. E sempre que eu pego esse bagulho aparece gente. Os caras não dão de graça. Boa. Eu vou sair ali e vou dar de cara com um balde. Eita. Com um bandido. Falei? Só um? Não. Ó, o outro aqui, velho. Ó, já perdi uma pilha e 2 tiros de ali. Pô, isso eu tô lembrando, hein, de um lance de bagulho de show. Tô lembrando disso, sim.
I'd known the brothers used to be some kind of rock stars, but it hadn't really sunk in until I saw the stage.
Acho que vai dar uma merda aqui, eu acho.
Ow! Run! Incoming! There's too many of them! God damn!
So glad you decided to go it alone, Mr. Bronson.
Shut up and shoot! Ow! We have to
Até onde, caralho?
I can set off more of the fireworks from here and help you out! Hey, Al, notice there's a lot of ammo and stuff around? This place is stocked! Hold on, I'll try to get the stage lights on!
Arregaçando, velho. Tomei. Ah, você que é fodão? Então toma. Vagabundo. Que bom que você tá feliz, cara. Nossa, que vagabundo. Dois. Ah, não deu. Tá bem, então bem. Fica esquivando, velho. Nossa, soldado. Passamos, caralho. Ou não, acho que sim. Cacete de agulha.
That was awesome!
Foi louco mesmo.
Bright Falls, rock and roll capital of America.
Não, peraí. Porra. Foi bruto. Quantos tem aqui? Não. Tem 8. Tem alguma coisa aqui? Não. Jogou alguma coisa aqui? Eu tenho. Aqui. Garrafa de café. Caceta, isso foi louco.
Hey, Al! This way to the farm!
Bora. Essa lanternona aí também tá bem da hora, hein? E aí, filho, sempre tem que olhar as coisas, né? Passa perto. Tem uma coisa aí? Não. Manuscrito? Não. Bora. Hum.
See, bestseller? No reason to worry. Your cutout's good as new, right where I left it. I'll come back for it once we have the place secured.
Yeah, that's been my biggest worry all this time.
Caguei pra esse papelão, hein, rapaz.
We need to get this thing moved out of the way.
This is as far as I got before they ambushed me.
Tá, já me liguei. Vamos lá. Tem que subir lá em cima, então vou ter que dar uma volta em algum lugar aqui. Aqui. Pera aí, primeiro vamos ver se tem alguma coisa na casinha. Manuscript. Bala. Revólver. Deixa eu estar nesse gramado aqui. Aí, ela. Olha que fazendinha da hora. Tamanho dessa porra. Não tem nada aqui pra nós? Não tem nada pro pai? Não. Pera aí, cara. Tem um negócio brilhando ali, ó. O que será que é? Pera aí, fera, deixa eu ver ali. Tem um bagulho ali. Achei a página do manuscrito, hein? É mesmo. Tem mais nada aqui atrás? Ah, já deu, já também, vai. Vamos embora. Aqui não tem nada. Não, só espantalho. Já sei já. Só subir ali a escadinha e trepando. Deixa eu chegar lá. Cadê? Aqui.
Hey, I think Alan Wake here has something to say. What's that, Al?
I'm Alan Wade. I'm always right about everything. And if I don't get my way, I'm son all day long. I'm always intense and moody. It makes me very attractive and mysterious. Right now,
Forgado, hein, gordinho?
because I need my best friend Barry to carry me. But that's okay. I can just take him for granted.
Don't
I
do
think I
your
see
shit.
what you did there.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
You want me to do my imitation of Barry Wheeler? No? Thought so.
Wow! You look at that thing, Al! They really went all out with this Viking crap, didn't they? Look at all this stuff. They must have done okay for themselves, so how come I never heard of these guys before?
And this from the guy who learned about Ozzy Osbourne through reality TV?
Ô louco, só esquecia de Osbournes. Nem sabe quem é Black Sabbath. Pô, Bear. Vergonha. Que vergonha, Barry. Que vergonha, Barry. Gordinho. Ui, o caranguinho abandonado aqui, que da hora. 5 cachamborga. Tá brilhando lá fora, hein? Ah, sei lá o que é isso aí. Vai, sobe lá, fodão. Vai na frente.
Oh, Night Springs. Man, brings back memories. Hey, remember when I got you that gig? Your first real writing job. What got you started? Was this one of your episodes?
In Night Springs.
Vamos assistir.
Tonight's episode, The Dream of Dreams.
That's by someone else.
We join Mr. Jones as he explores the endless dreamscape, only to be brought to a sudden stop by a decidedly mundane situation. A long line of people.
Hey, Jones, right? Listen, we're gonna have to wait until His Highness over there is good and ready.
Oh, wow. Who's that?
You don't know him? What are you, new? He's the guy dreaming us. Well, not just us. He dreams everything. All of this.
But wait, no. I'm the one who's dreaming. I'm asleep. Isn't this my dream?
Oh, yeah. Sure. Get real, pal. You're just another dream. I'm a dream. You're a dream. The weirdo in the diving suit is a dream. And the girl made of smiles and sunshine is definitely a dream.
But I'm pretty sure I'm dreaming this.
Well, maybe you're a really confused dream. What am I, a shrink? All I know is I'm going with the smart guys. And they say that's the guy doing the dreaming. Right there.
I don't know what that means.
It means we keep him happy. No sudden falls. We make sure he has his clothes on when he goes out in public. No chases where the monster is nipping at his heels and he runs like crazy, but his legs don't seem to get him anywhere. None of that. Because if he wakes up in a cold sweat... Yeah, precisely. So we wait till he wants to move on. Keep things nice and calm.
Hey, something's happening here.
Yeah? What's that?
What? Can't you hear that?
Oh, God help us, it's an alarm clock. Oh, it's you, isn't it? Please, man, I got a wife and kids. Please don't wait.
Eu curto, hein? Foi daorinha. Vambora, Bear, seu cavalo. Isso aí agora. Ah, toma essa, tem um barquinho aí.
The Viking boat looked imposing, almost like a battering ram.
Que bruto, filho. Cadê os vagabundos de barulho? Tô cheio, que bom. Pronto, só para não deixar pra trás aqui. Nossa, a lanterna tá uma belezura, velho. Olha. Esse cara aparece do nada, mano. Pra dar susto mesmo. Nossa, mano, agora eu tô pica com essa arma aí, com essa luz. Agora eu tô bruxão. Pode vir, pode vir. Deve vir tá capeta agora. Não devia ter usado o revólver. Ei, cadê? Cadê? Ih, ó, rapidinho. Ah, lugar fechado é foda, hein? Cadê ele? Pronto, agora eu pego munição aqui. Otário. Caralho, Bear não faz nada.
I think we can make it through here, Al.
Cadê você? Tem nada aqui? Não. Cadê você, cara? Cadê o cachorro? Não, volta. Cadê? Aí, cadê? Nossa, ela tá aqui, velho. Nossa, velho, é muito nego. Caralho. Ali. Olha que espertinho, tá na luz aí, filha da puta. Ajudar aqui que é bom nada. Bem besta, sim. O que ele focou ali?
Wow, those geezers had quite a production going on. Ooh, you know what, Al? If we make it through this alive, I'm gonna start representing them. Yep, sell this stuff online, maybe get a reality show going, release a new single.
Good luck with that, pal.
Hey, you find us a way out of here, okay? I'm gonna take a closer look at this stuff.
Deixa eu tirar aqui. Não.
The door was barred from the other side. I'd have to find another way.
Como? Podia usar essa escada, né, fera? Que isso aqui? Nada. Nossa, como é ruim essa lanterna no lugar fechado, velho. Opa! Parece um chutar aqui. Ah, entendi. Tudo carregado? Tá.
Be careful, Al!
Ih, vai dar merda. Certeza. Nunca tive tanta bala de escopeta assim. Tem um checkpoint aqui, hein?
I'm good. Keep your eyes open, okay?
Aqui tem coragem. Eu mato onça. Mato hipster com machado. E mato qualquer um. O que é isso aqui? Mas eu tô com ele. Não mudou nada.
As you regular listeners know, I tend to work through the night, but I'm not the only one. Deputies Mulligan and Thornton are taking a couple of moments off their busy schedule to join me here in the studio. Boys, how busy are you now? Deerfest is almost here, isn't it? I bet that keeps you in business.
Pretty busy, yeah.
Actually, Pat, we've been real busy with other stuff, which concerns an ongoing investigation. We can't talk about that, Thornton. I wasn't gonna say anything. I was just saying we got, other irons to fry.
And how would you compare your workload to last year's? Things have seemed relatively peaceful to me, but people do tend to get a little wild this time of year.
Oh, it's wild, Pat. It's pretty wild. There's been all sorts of trouble this year. Vandalism, fighting, public disturbances. A lot of people gone missing, too.
Yeah, it's pretty much the usual stuff, Pat. Just, a lot more of it.
Now, is it just me, or does Deerfest get wilder every year? People seem to be more drunk, at least, or they start earlier and younger.
Oh, it's definitely not just you, Pat, but...
Definitely, Pat.
Hey, I'm talking here, Thornton. Oh, shoot, I lost my train of thought.
Not just me.
Yeah, it's wilder, Pat, but actually most of the trouble seems to be coming from grown men. People who ought to know better, Kids are doing fine this year.
Well, that's nice to hear at least.
Vai logo, galera.
Thank you for stopping by. I'll let you get back to your patrol.
Valeu. Tchau.
Sure thing, Pat.
Yeah, sure thing, Pat.
Tem.
I could see the building that had to be the Andersons' home on the other side of the field. It wasn't far now. I wasn't worried about trusting the ramblings of two burned-out geriatric wrecks. They had the goods.
Toma. Tô ficando bad boy. Cheguei, escritor, eu embarcou, né? Ih, estão dando muita coisa pra mim. É por ali mesmo. Que isso? Nossa, grandão, velho. Que ótimo. Nossa. Vem, vagabundo. Tá bordoada, filha dele. Ai, ai, ai. Vem. Tá só você aí? Só. Será que eu tenho coisa pra fazer? Tem a mulher aqui. Tá ótimo. A 12. Ah, tem que entrar quando o carro arrebentou ali. Sempre tem coisa nas casinhas, hoje não. Um marretão. Não quero tomar dano não, desce devagar. Isso. Que isso aqui? Tem nada pro pai aqui? Não, Miguel. A picareta é uma boa.
you out there, buddy?
Dorf. Bora, tá muito mole.
Hey, let's go, man.
Será que agora abre aqui? Não.
Think we're gonna have to work together to open this gate, Al. It's
Ah,
pretty heavy.
entendi. Tô tentando, filho, mas o menino não libera. Ah, entendi.
Hey,
Nossa,
I
parece
think
uma
that's the
casa
farm on
viking,
the
né?
other side of the field. We're almost there. This farm is a crazy place for crazy people.
We should feel right at home then.
Nossa, que da hora a casa dos caras, velho.
Come on, one more gate. Do this thing.
Que? Oh, the gods know the truth. Deixa eu ver se tem coisa aqui. Berry. 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 Berry é uma baita série da Netflix. Caralho, que da hora. Segura na casa. Ih, não tem um papelzinho pra nós aqui. Um papelzinho. Vamos entrar aí na casa ali. Nossa, eu não lembro dessa fase, velho. Porra, eu não lembro desse jogo.
The lights are out. Guess we better check the fuse box.
Nunca funciona, velho. Sempre dá merda. Asgard. Goma da hora. Saúde.
The power downstairs was out, but I was sure I could fix that at the fuse box.
Cadê o fuse box? Sai da frente, velho. Ô, caralho. É aqui no palco? Bom. Aqui na parede? Não. Pode ser que seja lá em cima.
Come on, Al, let's get the lights on, huh? You know, this place looks kind of lived in. I thought the Andersons were the booby hatch.
Achei. Nossa, parece o Ozzy, velho.
Can you hear that, Al? Music?
Of course. We need to find where it's coming from. That's the message the Andersons talked about. That's the whole reason we're here.
Lady of the Light? Oh, that's gotta be what's her face, the crazy lamp lady from the
Lady
town.
of the Log.
Cynthia Weaver.
Right. Must be.
Que engraçado, cara, esse cara. Que da hora, somzinho.
Okay.
We need to find Cynthia Weaver. We'll stay here for the night and head back to town as soon as it gets light.
Hey, Al. Lots of hours before dawn. Might as well get some rest. And by rest, I mean drunk.
Come on, Barry, this is... Yeah, what the hell?
Acabou o capítulo?
Seriously, because I know we don't get along, but we're gonna find her, right? Even though you're a crazy bastard,
I'm gonna stick by you, no matter what, ever, Al.
sure, like a brother.
I'm a writer, goddammit.
Correct.
If I just wanted to, I could write 10 books a year. And they'd be the best books that year.
No, you couldn't.
That's right, I couldn't. But I could, because I'm a writer.
What? What do they put in this stuff? I feel like my brain is coming out of my nose. I'm gonna get the recipe off those coots and be a booze millionaire.
I just miss her, Barry. I just want her here with me.
I know, Al. I know. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna make it okay.
Caralho, no meio da treta, esse cara enche o caneco. Acabou o capítulo? Não. Ué. Ah, que da hora. Por hoje, chega.